Today on Sherrod Field, it's a rematch of last year's NCAA semifinal and a top 10 showdown as the third-ranked Princeton Tigers welcome in the number 9 Maryland Terrapins on the Ivy League on ESPN. Hi, everybody. Alongside Dave Giancola, I'm Cody Crushell. Last year, Maryland handed the Tigers a pair of 5-goal losses, including that NCAA semifinal up in Hartford on their way to the national championship. A lot of roster turnover, especially for the Terps. For the Princeton Tigers, Game 2 of a 7-game stretch against NCAA tournament teams from a year ago. They've also won 16 of their last 17 at home.
What a matchup today, a rematch of last year's Final Four, as you said, Cody. And for Princeton, the start of an absolutely treacherous schedule, and they'd love to get the momentum going in the right way with a win here at home. For the Maryland Terrapins, a couple weeks removed from a loss against Loyola down in Baltimore that certainly raised some eyebrows across the D1 landscape, but they rebounded well last week against Syracuse and look to, again, get their momentum moving in the right way with a big win away from home.
Couple of key injuries for Maryland. They're without their starting goalie. They're without their leading returning scorer from last year. Their offense, though, paced by Daniel Kelly. 6 goals a year ago. He already has 9 this year.
Yeah, 6 points last week against Syracuse, and you mentioned it. Daniel Kelly has had to patiently wait for his turn. You know, Maryland's a who's who on the offensive side for the last decade, and Daniel Kelly finally getting his time to shine.
For the Princeton Tigers, they're paced by Alexander Vardaro, the senior, leading the nation in shooting percentage through 2 games.
So many players to worry about on the Princeton offense. And oh, by the way, number 19 is one of them. Alex Vardaro is off to a great start in 2023. A natural attackman coming out of high school. He's done a nice job of moving up to the midfield. Great shooting stroke, but this year doing a really good job of working tight in space and scoring from in close. Keep an eye on 19.
With their 2-time All-American Logan McNaney out with an injury, Teddy Dolan, the Binghamton transfer, got the start last weekend against Syracuse. Today it'll be freshman Brian Rupel out of Catonsville, Maryland, the number 30 overall recruit, making his first career start, and for the Tigers, 3rd straight start for senior Griffin Rackauer. He's generally played the first half, and then Michael Gianfricaro's come in to start the second half, the first 2 games. Face-off matchup. This was a fun battle in the Final Four. Luke Weirman, second in the nation last year in face-off winning percentage. He leads Division I, 52 of 70. Tyler Sandoval up at 58% on the season. Going to be a fun one today, Dave. This is a good matchup.
This face-off matchup could determine this entire game. And we're going to start with a procedural call, and the Terps get an easy possession.
Talked to John Tillman, and with so many injuries, they've lost 5 of their 6 starters, have the Terps on offense from last year to graduation. Eric Molliver, who was their leading returning scorer, he suffered an injury in the fall. So still trying to piece it together and figure out the combinations on offense, but said they've maybe relied a little bit too heavily on Luke Weirman and that nearly 75% winning percentage.
It's hard not to rely on it, but it is just an astounding statistic.
Top of the box, 1 sub from their normal midfield. Jack Brennan not in the starting lineup. They'll go Chorus, Long, and Murphy, the 3 starters at midfield with Kelly Maltz and the freshman Urksa. Knife down by the Tigers. That's Michael Bath, the sophomore pole. Scooped back up, though, by the Terps. Owen Murphy, the Johns Hopkins transfer. They feed out in front. That got Molshon in the back. Foot race forward, and it stays with the Terps. Braden Urksa, the freshman out of Marietta, Georgia, starting for the 2nd straight game. They had Owen Murphy starting on attack early in the season. They ran him out of the box at the 2nd midfield last week against Syracuse. He's starting in midfield today. Shot clock down to 10, unsettled situation. Here's Urksa against the pole, Molshon. Shot clock to 5. Forrest trying to get the hands free, and instead will dump it off in the corner. What a job defensively by the Tigers.
Tremendous. Balls, sticks in the passing lanes, rather, knocking down some passes, putting the Terps in a precarious situation, and the Terps unable to get one on the net. So Princeton will look to clear. It is a chilly day here in central New Jersey, so these players, nice long warm-ups, but they're going to have to get their feet under them and get comfortable here.
Nearly taken away. Ajax Zapatello got the stick on it. Flags flying from both sides as Marquez White scoops it up, and Maryland will go man up.
Yeah, White just a little bit out of control towards midfield, running with reckless abandon.
Let's wait for the call from the official.
Definitely, coach. White foul 2-4, legal body check, direct to the head. It's 2 minutes.
2-minute non-releasable against Marquez White, much to the chagrin of the Tigers coaching staff.
Matt Madelon not happy about it, but we'll take a look. He just delivers a blow. Yes, the player is low, the Terp, but it's contact to the head. Textbook call there, 2 minutes non-releasable. Big opportunity here for Maryland to get going on Princeton's campus.
That was against John Geppert, their top long stick midfielder, an all Big Ten selection a year ago. Terps on the man, up 4 for 9 over the first 3 games. Top of the box, stick side high save. That one came in point blank from Spanos.
A nice save to get Rackauer going today. Stick side high. And another collision at midfield. We've got physicality everywhere.
You normally see Bo Pedersen on the wrong side of that hit, but tic-tac-toe in transition. Daniel Kelly, their leading scorer. I was going to say, you normally see Bo Pedersen deliver hits like that. 23 got upended for the Tigers. Maryland really thrives on those unsettled situations.
Well, it's interesting because Geppert often delivers the blows for the Terps, and he gets hit hard by White to get things going. And Kelly, who we highlighted in the open, gets things going for the Terps. A nice left-handed finish to the stick side of Rackauer. Back to the face-off we go, but important to note, again, that was a 2-minute non-releasable penalty. So Marquez White remains in the penalty box for another 126.
Huge face-off here. Luke Weirman once again for the Terps, and the Tigers, obviously without a winger on the top side. They'll have Cahal Roberts, the pole on the near side. Sandoval scoops it cleanly. Huge face-off win for the Orange and Black with another minute and 20 seconds on this man down. Gets it back to Ben Finley, who started every game of his career, has number 10 on defense, now up to Coulter Mackesy. Here comes Mackesy. Tigers have numbers, and he's going to settle it back at X and try to let some time run off.
Yeah, the Terps pressured up at midfield. Mackesy able to break through that pressure and get a clean clear for the Tigers as Sam English takes it at the X. 53 on the shot clock that Princeton will look to wear off the clock.
The game last year where Coulter Mackesy sort of broke in with the attack. They had Barnes starting on the attack early in the season. He started the Maryland game. That's Tommy Barnes, one of the brothers. And then they had Mackesy down there. So that's kind of when Matt Madelon started tweaking the lineup. That was the regular season meeting. 5-goal loss by the Tigers. They woke up that morning and didn't know if they would have a healthy face-off man. Sandoval was out. Ginder was out with an injury. Jack Henry Vara, who didn't practice the week leading up to that game, got cleared the morning up, drove down to College Park that morning and took every face-off. Princeton last year, Maryland, they were wire to wire. They were number 1 the final 14 weeks. Princeton played them as tough as anybody outside of maybe Cornell. 2 on the shot clock. Slusher draws the crossbar. That'll reset it for the Tigers.
Wow, a buzzer beater that Princeton's able to chase down at the sideline, so they'll retain possession, and the shot clock should reset to 60. The officials are going to huddle, see if he actually got that shot on cage in time.
If this stays as called, that is tremendous clock awareness and clock management, and they are going to reset the shot clock.
Wow, so the buzzer beater by Slusher gets on cage. Princeton chases it out of bounds, is able to retain possession and kill off that non-releasable penalty.
They got possession with 1:21 on the penalty clock. They took the shot with 1 second, and now they get a fresh 60 and a fresh possession.
This is where Vardaro is dangerous.
Stick side high, save made. First career start, Brian Rupel, the freshman, saved 70% last year as a senior. Their starting goalie, 2-time All-American Logan McNaney, who looked like the best player on the field in that semifinal win by the Terps last year over Princeton. Suffered a freak injury, game 2, that loss 2 weekends ago down at Loyola. Was kind of chasing a loose ball on the near sideline. Bouncer by Geppert. He took some contact. Clean save Rackauer. Ball is loose. Terps able to scoop it up. Jack Corus in the midfield turns it back up the other way. Teddy Dolan, the Binghamton transfer. His older brother was their starting goalie for the Terps back in 2019. Dolan, 12 saves, 15 goals allowed last week. should say 9 saves, 12 goals allowed, and now they'll see what Brian Ruppel can do.
Ruppel with a nice first save. Ardara made it a little easy for him, stick side high.
Long with a high bouncer, skips over the top of the cage with Urksa backing up. 1-0, Terps on top.
What a start to the game with the physicality of midfield. This is one both teams desperately want.
Princeton gained 2 out of 7 in a row against NCAA tournament teams from last year as Rackauer comes up with his 3rd save of the day already. For Maryland, 4th straight ranked opponent to start the season.
That's one way to get things started. And again, that loss to Loyola, the final score surprised some. Coach Tillman saying one of the worst weeks of practice he's seen in his tenure as head coach of the Terps. So that says it all coming from a coach of Tillman's caliber.
40 on the shot clock, curling back inside. Daniel Maltz on the doorstep, got the goalie, may have gotten the pipe. Molshine chases it down for Princeton. Overthrows Pedersen, and Maryland will get a fresh shot clock. A couple of careless turnovers by both teams in the first 6 minutes.
And you wonder if you're going to see an early timeout in one of those situations again, if Princeton's able to get a ground ball in the defensive half, just to settle down, reset.
Shot 7-2 in favor of Maryland. They lead 1-0. The early man-up tally by their leading scorer, Daniel Kelly. That was his 10th of the season for the junior.
And an unsettled one at that. So the Princeton defense playing stout, as are the Terps.
Marco Signorelli running out of the box, number 3. First look at him today. Back below goal line extended, working through the freshman Urksa. Above goal line extended, curling in here, Siracusa. They talked about it, John Tillman did. Okay, who's your second midfield line? It's more pairings and just trying to see what works. It's a howitzer from Signorelli. 26 on the Maryland shot clock. Marco Signorelli, the freshman from Leesburg, Virginia. Braden Urksa, the freshman from Marietta, Georgia. 2 of the 6 on offense, true freshman for this Maryland team. 20 on the shot clock. Siracusa trying to get below Younger Kiss. They'll work it through Urksa. Top of the box, Spanos. Sets up a teammate, sticked aside by Rackauer, but another shot clock reset. What an opening 6 or 7 minutes for Rackauer.
Siracusa kind of hits the back half of the post. He's able to reset the shot clock.
9 shots through the first 7 minutes for the Terps. Spanos tries to draw the slide. Tigers defense staying disciplined. Now over the top of the cage. Spanos frees up a teammate. Whistled wide. 10th shot of the day by Maryland. Opening possession after there was a face-off violation against Tyler Sandoval. Maryland had to dump it off in the corner as the shot clock expired, and then after a penalty in transition by the Tigers, Maryland scored the man-up goal. Tigers take it away. Here comes Pace Billing. Back up the other way, clears it into Braden Saris, and now we'll get our first look at a settled Princeton offense.
Yeah, that first extended possession, obviously trying to kill off that penalty, and they did just that. But to your point, Cody, we haven't really seen a true 6-on-6 for the Tigers offense, and here we go with Saris.
Maryland lost 5 of 6 starters to either graduation or injury on offense. Princeton returns 5 of 6 starters, although that one loss to graduation, Chris Brown. It's a big one. 30-plus goals, 30-plus assists last year for the big lefty. Slusher has the stick lifted, or I should say Vardaro. Slusher there to back it up. Midway point of this opening quarter, 1-0 Maryland. That was just the 3rd shot by Princeton. Tigers 22-9 victory against Monmouth in the opener as that one goes off the leg of Sam English. Push towards the end line. English trying to scoop it up off the carpet. It rolls out of bounds. It'll be Maryland possession, and their sidelines fired up.
Good pressure by the Terps on Sam English. I don't think he was expecting the pressure when he first went for that ground ball, but it was certainly there. The Terps come away with it. Dominating possession thus far.
Princeton, 3 shots, 3 turnovers as we tick down to the 6-minute mark.
Again, Princeton with a big week to start the season in terms of volume. last Saturday against Monmouth, a quick turnaround. Tuesday against Manhattan, where they played a very tough Manhattan team who came in here looking to win.
Owen Murphy out of the box lets that one fly. Hits the fencing. It'll stay with the Terps.
And just to finish that, a short week then, Tuesday to Saturday to get ready for a Final Four matchup, or rematch, that is.
Braden Urksa turning the corner. Rackauer goes down, makes the save, and drops the lid on it. Huge first quarter for Rackauer. 6 saves for the senior, the first-year starter. Rackauer's played the first half of the first 2 games, and then he's given way to Michael Gianfrancaro to start the third quarter.
Good production out of both goaltenders in the 2+ games so far.
Yeah, Rackauer came in at 64%. Gianfrancaro had stopped 10 of 19. Eric Peters, the 3-year starter, graduated. He started in that NCAA semifinal against the Terps. 2 Big Ten teams, 2 Ivy League teams making up the Final Four last year. It was Cornell, Princeton out of the Ivy League, Maryland, and Rutgers out of the Big Ten. Mackesy couldn't get the hands free, so he'll work into the top of the box. Now Saris, the new starter on offense, almost threw it over the head of Slusher. Alex Slusher, he's got a goal in 21 straight. Mackesy tried to go low to high, lifted it a little bit too far.
Mackesy's going to have to take advantage of the opportunities he does get. He's matched up against Brett Makar. Makar's one of the best defensemen in the country. Last week against Joey Spallina, the talented freshman from Syracuse, held him to 1-1, which is quite an effective performance. So again, Mackesy probably not going to get his hands free as much as he's used to.
Stevens was able to knock that down and keep it for the Tigers. And now Palumbo, the freshman. 5 on the shot clock. Off the mark, diving for it, Maryland, and it'll be Terps ball.
Yes, it's only 1-0 Maryland, but the Terps fans traveled well. The sideline is hyped up. It seems like the momentum is with the Terps right now. Princeton's got to see one get into the back of the net.
Princeton had Chad Palumbo out there along with Jake Stevens, Sean Cameron. That's that second midfield line. Palumbo, the talented freshman, had a couple of goals in his debut against Maryland. Figure 2 teams in the top 10, 2 teams that went to championship weekend. You wouldn't think you'd see this much youth, but we have today.
Well, it speaks to the talent coming out of the high school level, obviously, and those young players' ability to make an impact quickly, but also 2 teams that lost some firepower after the semifinal run and the championship run for Maryland.
Good battle between the number 10s, Urksa, the freshman, Finley, the senior, who's been a starter since he stepped on campus.
What a job by Makar. Those are the little things that tremendous players do well. Just a little tap to keep that ball in the offensive half of the field.
John Tillman, the word he used to describe Makar, consistent. Never seen him had an off day in practice. You know exactly what you're going to get when he shows up. Shot clock under 10. Up top, here's Spanos against Pedersen. Doesn't know how much time is left, and now he'll dump it in the corner. Second time the Princeton defense has forced Maryland to just leave it off in the corner.
And Princeton's defense playing really well, given how much possession the Terps have had. And again, the one goal they have had was in an unsettled transition situation for Daniel Kelly. And here come the Tigers. They'll get their best 6 out there. And Sam English, who had such a great year last year, off to a good start, but no goals yet on the stat sheet for number 15 in white. So we'll see if he can get one going today.
Sam English, 2020 as a freshman. He was a defensive midfielder, had just 1 goal in that shortened 5-game season. Came into the Maryland game last year with 3 in his career. He had 4 down in College Park in that 5-goal loss. Scooped up by Rhonda, and Princeton will take a timeout and talk this one over with 2:23 to go.
Princeton. Really smart timeout by Matt Madelon and company.
Maryland with the early man-up tally. The only goal of the day was by Daniel Kelly. 1-0 Terps on top of this Final Four rematch. 46th meeting, including 2 last year, 15-10 Maryland victory down in College Park. That was that regular season game where Princeton woke up on game day and they didn't know if they would have a face-off man. Jack Henry Ibarra took all 29 against Luke Weirman. Postseason, that was one of the most physical lacrosse games you'll ever see. A 13-8 Maryland victory after basically a 4-hour weather delay in the game before the teams got to Rentschler Field in Hartford, left, went back to the hotel, came back, and then played a game kind of deep into the night. Maryland ended up getting past the Tigers. They would go on to edge Cornell 9-7 for the championship. 7 all-time meetings in the postseason. The Tigers have won 5 of them, including a couple of national championships. Series that hasn't been played a ton in the regular season recently. There's Vardaro scouting it out. Shot clock at 20. Vardaro, the Tigers' leading scorer, draws the slide, and then the bouncer out to the perimeter, corralled by Mackesy.
Short stick matchup for Mackesy here.
Shot clock at 10. Mackesy, they slide a pole onto him. Shot clock down to 5. Over to Vardaro. He draws the double. Shot clock is going to expire before the Tigers can dump it off. How many flags going to come in? You've got to imagine delay a game. Shot clock had hit 0 before he threw it into the corner. So Maryland will get the restart, and Maryland will go man up for the second time.
I was going to say, how many times we're going to see the ball thrown into the corner in the first quarter due to the shot clock getting down to it. But part of that is you need to throw it to the corner while the shot clock still has some time on it. Otherwise, you sit, like Alexander Vardaro is now, for a delay of game.
Lone goal today was that man-up tally early on that 2-minute non-releasable called against Marquez White for the hit to the head early in the contest. Daniel Kelly, the junior, the reigning Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, had 6 points in that win against Syracuse. Tried to get it to a wide-open Kelly. It's over his stick. He overslides it. Lazaretto there jousting at it for the Tigers. Kelly will toss it back in. Maryland, though, took a well-timed timeout with 1:19 to go.
Got 2 teams playing chess early in this one. Shot clock's winding down to 0. Timeouts on quick possessions.
Couple of just really smart decisions. Great timeout by John Tillman, and then we go back to the clock management by Princeton, trying to run down the final 80 seconds of that first man-down situation. 1-0 Terps on top as we get a look inside the Maryland huddle. Terps head coach John Tillman, last year the unanimous Big Ten Coach of the Year. He's in his 13th season. 798 winning percentage. Maryland, 7 of the last 11 finals. Not Final Fours, championship games. And last year had to be really interesting for John Tillman because in a year that was so special to so many Cornell alums, ended up beating his alma mater for a national championship.
And what a game it was, and Coach Buchek up at Cornell, the story there going all the way to the championship game. And like you said, for Coach Tillman, playing against your alma mater is one thing, and a very special year for the Cornell program to take them down in the championship game and bring back a trophy down to College Park. Amazing.
Talk about last year with Cornell, the passing of Richie Moran, and John Tillman not only played for Richie Moran, grew up right around the corner in Corning, New York. 13th season at the helm of Maryland. He spent 3 seasons at Harvard. Before that was a game above 500. Prior to that, 12 seasons as an assistant at Navy. Terps 2-1 in the early going. Ranked 9 in this week's Inside Lacrosse Media Poll as we break from the timeout. Penalty about to expire. And we're back at full strength. Joe Jungerkiss running across midfield and nearly jumped that pass to Murphy. 1 minute left, 35 seconds left on the clock. A couple of flurries beginning to fall. We saw some snow up in New Haven, Yale taking on Penn State. Snowing in Ithaca. Murphy makes it 2-0. Not a man-up goal. The penalty had expired about 10 seconds earlier. Murphy, though, getting the start of the midfield, and he's got his 7th.
Maryland with a ton of shots here in the first quarter. Just the second to find the back of the net, but a beautiful pick up top. Murphy's able to roll on top of it, get his left hand free, and a nice fundamental bounce shot beats Rackauer. Princeton just unable to get another defender up to the top of the box to go stick on stick with Murphy. And all of a sudden, Princeton down 2-0, but worse than that, just unable to get into an offensive rhythm thus far.
Owen Murphy, the Johns Hopkins transfer. Big face-off win controlled by Stevens. Here come the Tigers. Stevens was looking towards the midfield, instead flips it towards Slusher. Murphy played as a freshman at Hopkins. He had a career-high 9 shots in that game against the Tigers as a freshman. Sat out the next year. Last year at Maryland, 34 goals, 39 points. Started the opener on attack, starting today on midfield.
How about this Maryland defense helping out the goaltender in his first action of his college career in the top 10 matchup? Brian Ruppel hasn't had to be tested much due to great defense.
Shot was off the back of a defender, and then Maryland tries a shot at the buzzer, but it goes wide. Physical first period, Maryland out shooting the Tigers 13-10. Early goals by Kelly and Owen Murphy, half the defending national champs up here in Princeton. Fourth game of the year for the Terps, their third different starting goalie after Logan McNaney went down with an injury. Game 2 at Loyola late. Teddy Dolan, the Binghamton transfer, got the start against Syracuse last weekend. Today, Brian Ruppel, the top 30 recruit, the freshman out of Catonsville, Maryland. 15 minutes in, Dave, 1 shot. Really not tested in that first quarter.
No, Vardaro had 1 shot on cage. It was stick side high, and a nice way for Brian Ruppel to get his first collegiate save. If you're the Princeton Tigers, you've got to get your hands free and test a young goaltender. And a lot of folks thought Dolan was going to be the starter after the performance last week at Syracuse. The youngster Ruppel gets the start, and to your point, Cody, just has not been tested. If you're Princeton, you've got to take shots that maybe otherwise you might not take just to test the young goaltender.
Talking about the face-off matchup, so far today it really hasn't been a factor because we've only had 4 draws so far. 2-2. Sandoval for the Tigers. Weirman, the All-American, for the Terps, who are up 2-0. They have a 13-5 shot advantage. Save number 7 for Rackauer. A little bit of a scrum in front of the Princeton crease. Michael Bath and Pace Billings have a beat on it, and it's Billing for the Tigers before he takes a hit on that ride. Daniel Kelly's their leading scorer, and he just caused the turnover.
Good hustle by Kelly. Didn't take much of a push to force Billings to throw the errant pass, and just like that, the Terps are back in business. They're doing a nice job with Murphy up top and then setting a pick. Last time it was Trader. You see Murphy setting the pick that time, and it's allowing midfielders to get their sticks free up top.
7th turnover by the Princeton Tigers. Back on offense, here's Chorus over the top of the defense for Kyle Long. Long, the lone healthy returning starter on offense. They graduated their top 5 scorers. Logan Wisnauskas, the Tuaraton winner. Keegan Kahn, the transfer, who was their second leading scorer. All 3 of their starting midfielders are starting defensive midfielders drafted by the PLL. Much different Maryland team, but still a team you would have to think is one of the favorites for another national title. On the move shot, hits the pipe. That was Owen Murphy, who scored goal number 2.
Yeah, Cody, Maryland, you never feel is out of the hunt for a national championship, even after the loss at Loyola early in the season. And again, a big win against a top 5 opponent here against Princeton. Maryland's right back as one of the favorites, no doubt.
Erks' shot, doesn't get through to the cage. Marquez White scoops it up and is off and running for Princeton the other way. Tigers just 1 shot on cage through the first 17 minutes of this contest against the first game starter, Brian Ruppel, the 6-foot freshman.
Makar making it hard for Princeton to even get 1 pass off in the offensive zone. Princeton just yet to find that rhythm. We haven't said Slusher's name nearly enough. He's the quarterback of the offense behind the cage, and that just shows they haven't gotten into their set because Slusher hasn't been commanding the offense from X.
Tigers have Ronda, has a step on his man. That's Donovan Lacey, the Sacred Heart transfer. Top midfield line out there for the Tigers, Ronda, alongside Vardaro and English. Below goal line extended, Slusher. Draws the pole from Burlace. Up top, 25 to shoot. Coulter Mackesy. Over to Vardaro. Through Saris. Here's Sam English. He had 4 goals a year ago down in College Park. Second shot on goal, second save. Friendly carom to Alex Slusher, who's somehow able to escape with possession.
Great job of finding that ball and then running to space.
Up top, Mackesy, short stick matchup, gets the hands free, gets the friendly bounce, and gets the Tigers on the board here early in the second.
Well, it took about a minute for Princeton to triple the number of shots on cage. They went from 1 on cage to 3, and it took the third to find the back of the net. Mackesy, great with the left hand. Rarely see him have to use his right hand. He's so good at getting the left hand free, but that time uses the turf to his advantage. And a beautiful bounce shot that cozies up under the crossbar. And now Princeton finally kind of breaks the goose egg and gets their first on the board. And Rupel sees first collegiate goal get by him, so Princeton will look to see if they can test him again, but they're going to have to get possession first.
Yeah, there's the great equalizer, Weirman, and then an errant pass scooped up by Luca Lazzaretto for the Tigers. Fourth Maryland turnover of the contest.
Big opportunity here for Princeton. Got to put the first quarter really in the rearview mirror, and all things considered, 2-0, not a bad place to start this quarter. Now 2-1. The equalizer would make this place go crazy.
Jake Stevens, John Tillman called him maybe the most unique skill set of a midfielder in the country, and I don't think you can argue with that. He's as good on the wings at faceoffs as anyone in the country. Had 20-plus goals last year, and he'll be out there with the second midfield. Chad Palumbo, Sean Cameron joining the fray. Mackesy had the goal last time down the field, number 91 twirling it. Draws the defense of Makar, 3-time All-American, 5-year starter, the reigning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, wearing number 1. Short stick matchup. Here's Palumbo, freshman midfielder. Over the top of the cage to Saris with some leverage. Palumbo there to back it up.
Good quick shot by Saris, not allowing the goalie to get set. If that one is on cage, it likely finds the back of the net, but you see Princeton starting to click a bit.
Chad Palumbo trying to curl in, dives into the crease, and it'll be Maryland ball.
It's a good idea by Palumbo. He just did it from the wrong part of the field. He was probably one step too far behind goal line extended, and there was really no shot of him getting enough of an angle.
Going to win those physical battles in high school. You can kind of box your defender out and stay out.
He just had to reach so far. He was so far below goal line extended there. It just wasn't going to work.
Maryland clears it across midfield. 5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. It was 2-0 Terps out of the gate before the goal by Mackesy. Shot on the move, wide. Came in from Kyle Long, bidding for his 5th goal of the season. Long's second team All Big Ten each of the last 2 years. Pass knocked down by him. Luke Anderson had a shot at it, and another ground ball by Pace Billings. Third ground ball of the day for number 3 in orange and black.
Princeton's smart to slow it down. Thought for a second there they might try to speed things up and get a quick shot, but Bo Pedersen handles number 23 for Princeton over to English, and they'll get their top offensive threats on the field as Christian Ronda joins the fray from the penalty box as well.
Christian Ronda, the senior from Greenwich, Connecticut.
Should say the substitution box now.
Talk about all the rule changes they've made in college lacrosse, and I guess kind of the most visible one is the shot clock. Shrinking that substitution box a couple years ago made a huge difference. High Karam, Makar there to scoop it up, and Maryland will start to clear up the other way.
It really did, Cody, and that's why you talk to Matt Madelon, and he says, how many athletic midfielders can I get on campus? And a lot of coaches have the same philosophy, because now you've got to run both ways. Just shrinking that box just enough to make substitutions harder so you can't specialize as much.
I like your term. You used to call it teleporting.
I did. I tried not to use it because I wore out that saying a couple of years ago, but you felt like you could teleport 20 yards, bring somebody off, and then all of a sudden their replacement's already on the defensive half of the field, and it was just an unfair advantage.
2-1. Defending national champions on top of the team they upended in the national semifinal last year up in Hartford Memorial Day weekend. Maryland turned the ball over 19 times in that contest today. 8 turnovers for the Tigers, 5 for the Terps. Shot clock again ticking down at 20. Long top of the box, trying to shake Hall. Roberts gets it over. Murphy, he's got a goal. Winding, firing, and sneaking it past Daniel Maltz, the senior, with his 5th of the year. Little bit too much time, a little bit too much space for number 37.
And that's why they call it a time and space shot, Cody. A lot of time and a lot of space. Look, he just takes a nice long look, finds the open part of the net, and fires it home past Rackauer, who just could not catch up to it. Overpowered.
3 goals, 3 different scores for the Terps. Daniel Maltz, the senior from Ashburn, Virginia, with his 5th of the season. Clean face-off when Weirman's going to fire wide. Something you have to really keep an eye on. Weirman hasn't scored this year, but he found the back of the net 8 times in 18 games last year.
Well, that's the ultimate case of make it, take it, when the face-off man can win right after their team's goal, take it down, and find pay dirt again. 52. I mean, talk about 70+% this many games into the season. After one game, sure, maybe it was a mismatch, but truly tremendous statistic. Dominant.
Long on the move, sticked aside by Rackauer. That's save number 9 for the senior, making his 3rd career start. Rackauer taking over for Eric Peters, who was a 2.5-year starter last year, a Tewaaraton nominee early in the season. No-look shot that time. They tried to sneak it past, and that drew the pipe.
Great job by Maltz, kind of fooling everybody and using the defender, Ben Finley, as a screen.
Terps got out to a 2-0 lead. Maryland with that 2-goal lead for Princeton. Coulter Mackesy getting him on the scoreboard, and then Daniel Maltz getting that Terps lead back up to 2. 3-1 Maryland on top as we step away. How about this 7-game stretch for the Princeton Tigers after the win against Monmouth, the team who went to the NCAA tournament 2 years ago? 7 straight against tournament teams from last year. Manhattan won the MAC last year, today against the defending national champions. Next Saturday, Georgetown comes in on the road. Rutgers and Penn home against Yale, who's trailing late against Penn State. Brown was a tournament team. Syracuse back on the schedule for the first time in a decade. Man, if you get nice weather that weekend for the Syracuse game, you're going to have to talk to the fire marshal about how many people can we actually fit in here.
It's an electric schedule.
And then you've got Dartmouth, who's up 9-0 on Holy Cross. The Big Green didn't win an Ivy League game last year, but they lost to Cornell by 1 and Princeton by 2. Murphy on the move, save number 10 for Rackauer. And then you close out the season up in Ithaca.
Ivy League with 6 of the 7 that play lacrosse, making the NCAA tournament a year ago. I don't think we'll see 6 this year, but, you know, time will tell. I mean, and there could be some other teams with some numbers next to their names on the schedule by the time the Tigers face them. And Maryland with a tremendous schedule as well. You talk about an improved Big Ten team coming off representing 50% of the Final Four, as you said, along with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So Big Ten playing some great lacrosse. Michigan played Virginia tough earlier this season.
Princeton, the 7th highest scoring offense in the nation last year, nearly 15 goals per game. So far today, they've got 1 goal, 9 shots, only 3 shots on cage so far. Against a first-year starter, a freshman making his debut, Brian Ruppel had never stepped on the field for the Terps prior to this afternoon. Shot clock again ticking down under 20. Sam English got the hands free, didn't get it off cleanly. 14 to shoot.
Mackesy will take it in.
Got John Geppert, the long stick midfielder, on English.
Exactly. Makar in the crease on Slusher.
Here's Mackesy. He has the Tigers' lone goal. Now Ronda with 5 to shoot against Dante Trader, the short stick midfielder. Curling inside, gets the shot off. Save made. Right as the shot clock would have expired. Second time the Tigers have taken the shot with 1.
And Ruppel with a nice save, positioned himself well in the goal to cut off the angle. And if Ruppel made saves like that in practice, that's probably why he's starting today.
Terps jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and then after the goal by Mackesy, Daniel Maltz got the advantage back up to 2. Terps doubling up the Tigers in shots, 22-11. 10 saves for Griffin Rackauer in his third career start for Princeton. One of the storylines for Maryland with so many losses to graduation and Molliver and a couple other guys out due to injury. Jack Brennan not out there today, trying to mix and match with that second group of midfielders. Talked about, not running lines out there, just trying to get pairings and combinations that work. Knocked away by Marquez White. Pauses the turnover, scoops the ground ball, angling towards the far sideline, and now gets it back to Pace Billings.
Yeah, so many coaches will say, we're worried about us. We're going to play our lacrosse. Coach Tillman not afraid to look at individual matchups, make tweaks, and make adjustments based on the opponent pregame. And it pays dividends. You talk about not really running lines, going with what's working today.
Billings may be a little bit too much of an optimist. He saw another Paul Michael Bath right on the crease. Those two couldn't connect.
Some uncharacteristic turnovers by both teams in the first half, like that one, some pressure on the hands. But, you'd like to blame the cold, Cody, but I think over the last decade, fans have come to know the first 5 games, it's a winter sport.
I think I'm going to blame Bo Pedersen more for that than I would the weather today.
Yeah.
Maryland gives it right back. The Tigers' offense really hasn't been able to get going today, but still down by just 2 with possession. Somehow already just 4 minutes to go in the opening half. Third midfield line out there. Tigers looking for a spark. Quinn Kramer, number 20. Tommy Barnes, number 21. And Weston Carpenter, number 39. That third group for offensive coordinator Jim Mitchell. Slusher fires high. Tigers there to keep it.
Ajax Zapatello with a stick on Slusher on that shot, which forced it high, and we'll get into the story of those two later. Great story between those two tremendous players.
Tommy Barnes has a brother on the team as well. Sets up Saris, save made. Tigers trying to let it go out of bounds, and Carpenter's closest, so a fresh shot clock with 3:18 to go.
Smart play by Carpenter with the pressure on him.
Weston Carpenter, he's been around for a while. He's a senior from Ridgefield, Connecticut, getting his first opportunity. Great hustle by both teams, but it'll be Maryland possession.
He's getting overruled. They're going to say Tiger ball.
We'll stay with Princeton.
I think that's Maryland possession. It's closest to the ball. Closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds, not just to any part of the sideline. That is a interesting overturn.
Taking a look at it, so ball...
Because the Princeton player was farther upfield, I feel like if you drew a straight line to the ball, the Terps were closer, but nevertheless, the Tigers will take it.
Alex Slusher carried above goal line extended, and as he was doing that, one of the officials was looking back towards the Maryland sideline. As the ball was in play, here comes Barnes. Looking for Carpenter, can't connect. Mackesy has a beat on it. Avoids the big hit from Dante Trader, who's a starting safety on the Maryland football team. And another early save by Ruppel on that shot from Saris.
One goal against Ruppel has been a bounce shot. I try it again.
Speaking of Trader in transition, he had his first 2 career goals on Saturday against Syracuse. Was a highly touted lacrosse recruit, did not play lacrosse last year, wanted to settle in with the Maryland football team. He was one of their starting safeties this past fall.
I mean, to play 2 sports at the
in the Big
Ten level, to play Power 5 football, and then for the defending national champs.
To start as a sophomore.
It's unbelievable, and he had a tremendous individual effort on a clear last week against Syracuse that ended in a goal that made its rounds on social media.
Towards midfield, this has been a fun battle, and Makar steps over.
Mackesy's going to get doubled before he knows it, but he's able to break free.
Unsettled situation, had a step on Makar, the All-American, knocked aside by Ruppel and scooped up by their top pole, John Geppert, the All-American. Final minute 40 here in the opening half. 3-1 Terps, just able to sneak it across midfield to Urksa.
Might get a timeout here.
And good job, Coach.
Seems like the right place to do it. 1:30 on the clock, right next to the bench. Some pressure.
3-1 Terps on top. Maryland jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Coulter Mackesy, the lone Tigers goal, and then the Daniel Maltz tally to make it 3-1 Terps. 23-17. Tigers closing in on that Maryland shot advantage.
West of the Mississippi have made a huge impact on the Division I landscape. And as you said, these 5 on that list are 5 of the best in the country. And oh, by the way, from Portland, Oregon. Must be something about all that fresh air out there. A beautiful part of the country if you've never been to the Pacific Northwest.
I think you look at it, 2006, they only had a team for a couple seasons, but they got an NLL team, the Lumberjacks, Brody Merrill and Ryan Powell. 2 pretty fun guys to watch. And then 2012, Peter Baum from Portland. He was the Tewaaraton winner for Colgate. Now you've got kind of this next wave of guys from Portland. Saved by Rackauer. That's his 11th of the contest. Been really impressed with Rackauer and Gian Fricaro in the clearing game for the Tigers. 2 very athletic goalies. As rough as this first half has been offensively, the Tigers a chance to make it a 1-goal game. Top midfield, Vardaro raising the left hand, getting it off to Sam English, who had 4 goals against Maryland last year in the regular season. Ronda back up top, Saris, the attackman at the top of the box. Here's Sam English with a lot of space. Tucked behind the screen from Vardaro, now Saris.
Great defense by the Terps, not letting Princeton move around the crease easily and get sticks free, so Mackesy will move out.
Sam English fires the shot, takes some contact. Shot clock above the game clock, so the shot clock not a factor with 25 seconds to go in the second quarter. Coulter Mackesy had the first goal, fires this one nearly out of the facility down to Lake Carnegie.
Not sure if Makar or Zappatello got a stick on that, but that was uncharacteristically off target for 91.
Here's Slusher, left unmarked, turns the corner, save made. Wow. 8 seconds to go. Makar is going to toss it back in front of his own goal. Maryland launches it upfield as time runs out here in the second quarter. Lot to unpack from this one as the Terps have a 3-1 lead. What a defensive job by Maryland, holding a Final Four team and the number 7 scoring offense a year ago to 1 goal on 20 shots in the opening 30 minutes. Final Four rematch. Terps lead here in Princeton 3-1. We'll be back with stats and highlights before the start of the second half. Shots at one point in that first half, it was 22-11 Maryland. Princeton narrowing that gap just a bit. Turnovers, a big story in the early going. 8 apiece.
Again, face-offs coming into the game, thought it could be the story. Maryland 4 for 6, and just like we talked about, Michael Gianfrancaro in the net for the Tigers. So Matt Madelon sticking with the pattern that got them to 2-0, which was Rackauer in the first half, Gianfrancaro in the second half. Both goalies have played very well this season to this point. But if you're the Terps, you've got to test a new goalie early in this second half.
Eric Peters was the starter the last 2.5 years. Coming into this season, the Tigers did not have a goalkeeper that had started a game. The 3 on the roster had played about 48 minutes total a year ago. Rackauer in the first half, 11 saves, 3 goals allowed. It's a 3-1 Terps lead. And we'll get a look at Gianfrancaro, who was the number 1 goalie recruit in the country back in 2020. He was number 5 overall. Out in front, nobody's going to stop that. Set up beautifully. Second of the day for Daniel Kelly, camped out on the doorstep.
Well, you see the huddle of the Terrapins celebrating, but the more important huddle is the Princeton defense talking about what happened there, because you want to help out Gianfrancaro in his first minute on the field in the second half. You can't let one of the Terps' biggest offensive threats, Daniel Kelly, camp out on the crease and get a slam dunk to start the second 30 minutes. And the Tigers do just that, allowing 45 to find the back of the cage again, and Maryland goes up 4-1, and just like that, Gianfrancaro's 0 for 1 in the cage.
Kelly is second of the day, 11th of the season. Kyle Long with the assist. 23rd straight game with a point. Kyle Long in his career, 48 goals. That's his 75th assist. Lone returning starter on offense for this Maryland team. Maryland with a couple of face-off wins here to open the second half. Tigers will get it. Just about a minute gone by here in the third quarter. Mackesy.
Great slide.
Yep.
Maryland communicating so well on the defensive half. Make our passes off to Zappatello, and Mackesy has to retreat.
Alex Slusher coming above goal line extended. He's drawn the defense of Colin Burlinks. Ball rolls out of bounds, and it'll stay with Princeton. Vardaro won the foot race.
And how many shots that have gone super high have we seen from the Tigers? But that's credit to the Terps defense, lifting the bottom hand. I mean, that's just fundamental defense, how they teach you to play defense man-on-man from the time you pick up a long pole.
Vardaro, number 19, came into the day leading the nation in shooting percentage. He was 9 of 10. He's 8 for 3 so far today.
This is a good matchup for Mackesy, but Trader is a tremendous short stick, so not your traditional short stick matchup. We talk about the physicality of a Big Ten safety out there.
4 seconds on the shot clock. It whistles wide, and it'll be Maryland ball with a 3-goal lead.
Can't say enough about that defense.
Talked about Dante Trader. He was, again, the starting safety for Maryland football, but he was a top 10 lacrosse recruit out of the McDonough School. John Tillman talked about it. He's from Delaware, but grew up playing club lacrosse in Maryland, so was on the team's radar pretty early. So talked about all the communication and coordination between the football and the lacrosse coaching staffs as Maryland goes over and back, so Princeton awarded possession.
Trader unable to come up with that one. Mackesy will start it for the Tigers and get it up to Bo Pedersen. Stevens on the field, number 14 at the top of the box. As you said, Cody, one of the most versatile players in college lacrosse. He'll fill up the stat sheet and pick up every ground ball in his radius. Reminds you a lot of the skill set of Zach Currier. It took me to the second half to make that comparison this game.
Speaking of Jake Stevens, he'll hold it in the midfield. Nearly had a pole sneak up behind him as he was trying to connect with Palumbo. Stevens gets it over through Saris. Here's Mackesy. He's got the Tigers' only goal. Sam English, jabbed at by Zappatello, shot by Stevens, saved by Brian Rupel. Save number 9 for the freshman.
Take a look at the pass inside to Stevens, and it's a good shot because it makes the goalie work, but Rupel up to the test.
Cole tries to fire that one wide out of the stick of Jack McDonald, the junior out of Rockville Center, New York.
It's been great to watch these defensive midfielders talk about physicality, whether it's Trader, who's a Big Ten safety, as we keep saying, Bo Pedersen, who could probably play Power 5 football.
Looks like a Big Ten safety.
Yeah.
Urksa leaves it off long, trying to get above goal line extended. Looking to get underneath Cahal Roberts, number 6. Now back to the top of the box. Daniel Maltz has a goal. Daniel Maltz has 2 goals. Downhill dodge by the senior out of Ashburn, Virginia, and Maryland has opened up a 4-goal lead here in the third quarter.
Maltz is talented. Doesn't take much to get his hands free. Quite frankly, Marquez White does a decent job, but again, just a couple of inches to get the wrist free, and Maltz is able to bounce it past Gianfrancaro. And again, a cold day for Gianfrancaro coming in the second half against a top 10 team, and Maryland's gotten a few by him. Obviously, the first one, there's no goalie on the planet that's stopping it. That one, maybe.
Daniel Maltz, he was a starter on attack his first 2 years, and then with all the depth and talent last year, Keegan Kahn transfers in from Villanova. Maltz shifts to the midfield. Had a good season, 10 goals, 17 points. Tigers corral, 5th ground ball of the day for Pace Billings, number 3.
How about Weirman trying to run over Sandoval?
That was a fun matchup in the postseason last year, and that's been pretty entertaining here today. Face-off 6-3 in favor of the Terps. Tigers, though, were able to force the turnover. Here comes Palumbo, head of steam. Not Palumbo, that's Kramer, and he goes low, easy save Rupel quickly over the top of the Princeton midfield. Running in transition. On the move, Lacey saved Gianfrancaro. Ball is loose. Finley has it for the Tigers.
Princeton's got to focus here and get a nice clean clear. Nice job to get it to Gianfrancaro. Dangerous outlet pass, but a nice job of wrangling that one by Mulshine.
Tigers have 5 seconds to clear, and it's Kramer across midfield. Lacey took that shot. He's a grad transfer from Sacred Heart. Hasn't scored this year, but he had 11 goals in 4 seasons. Was a 2-time All-NEC selection. He's out there wearing number 18 for Maryland. He's a Maryland native. Tigers trying to get one back here. They fell behind 2-0, then Mackesy scored. Now 3 in a row for Maryland.
Princeton just has not gotten in the rhythm. Took him far too long in the first half, but English gets his first of the season.
He had 4 last year down in College Park after 3 in his career coming into that day. And he's got the Tigers back on the board. It's a 5-2 contest.
It's been tough to beat Rupel, but a nice bounce shot to the far side by number 15. Beautiful job of cutting downfield, finding space, and 15 finally gets one to go down in 2023 after a ton of production last year in 2022.
Pretty surprising. You look at what he did last year. So Princeton played 16 games. Sam English had their first goal in 7. Really a catalyst out of that top midfield line, number 15.
Well, Vardaro was 9 for 10 shooting coming into this one, so not a lot to go around. Vardaro had it handled. As Stevens picks up a ground ball, can they play a little make it, take it to make this interesting?
Well, Brett Makar saying no.
He often says that.
Stevens back to the midfield, draws Makar with him, though. Tigers have numbers out in front. Rondo left it behind. Saris overruns it, scooped up by McDonald from Maryland.
Beautiful job by McDonald, and Rhonda just did not see the pressure from the LSM, but Slusher hits the goalie Rupel, and a flag flies behind the play, and Slusher's going to sit. An unnecessary penalty with the ball no longer with Rupel.
Free possession here for the Terps after Princeton just cut it to 3. Flag is down in the defensive end, so after this possession, Maryland will go man up if they can't score. See who they bring on. Eric Spanos comes in alongside Marco Signorello, and they'll be joined by Ryan Siracusa.
And if you're Maryland, keep shooting. You've beaten Gianfrancaro a couple of times early in the second. Don't let him get into the rhythm if you're the Terps.
It was a 3-1 game at the half. Maryland 2 early goals before that tally by English. Flag still down on the field. Shot clock down to 20. Signorello, the freshman. Short stick matchup against a good one in Pedersen. They get it over near side. Siracusa back up to the midfield. Daniel Kelly, the attackman. Being lashed at by Pace Billings. Tough angle. Billings ends up with it. Shot clock expires, but now we'll get the call. Alex Slusher already with his left knee on the ground.
We got a flag.
We'll take a look at what occurred between Rupel and Slusher. So Rupel, it's almost like a roughing the passer. That's the right call. It was unnecessary. You don't hit the quarterback after he's delivered the pass downfield, and you don't hit the goalie after he's thrown the breakout pass like that. So Slusher pointed at himself. He knows it was his bad, but he will sit for a minute, and Maryland will look to take advantage of a 6-on-5 situation to go up 6-2, which would seem like a huge lead given the rhythm or lack thereof that the Princeton offense has found today.
Terps 1 for 2 on the man up. Kelly scored on their first 2-minute man up on that early penalty against Marquez White, and then Maryland scored another goal right after the second Princeton penalty expired. Terps have not been flagged here today. Out in front, easy shot and a goal. Hat trick, Daniel Maltz. And the Terps have that 4-goal lead back midway through the third quarter. Second man-up tally of the afternoon for Maryland.
Didn't take long, a little tic-tac-toe passing by the Terps, and they're able to cash in on another man-up opportunity. It's Maltz. He sneaks in behind the defense and cashes it in past Gianfrancaro. 6-2 Terps here at Sherrod Field.
Critical face-off here. It's tilted towards Maryland just slightly, 6-4. Shots 30-24 in favor of the Terps. Princeton trailed 3-1 at the half. Maryland has doubled that up. It's now 6-2. Tigers have it. Jake Stevens tried to split the defense, but Maryland disciplined. They get back. Rhonda and company running out of the box here midway through the third quarter.
And last year with Stevens on one wing and Andrew Song, the long stick midfielder, on the other, it was hard to win a ground ball at midfield against the Princeton Tigers. English stripped.
Ajax Zapatella stripped it from behind. Scooped up by Nick Red, the defensive midfielder, passes it across the front of the crease. Here's Makar starting the clear. Up to Red, who carries in against English. Pedersen running out of the box for the Tigers. Dante Trader holding, ducking out on the wing. Maryland is going to take some air out of the sails here as they wait for their teammates, Kouris and Kyle Long coming in.
Here, Maryland, slow it down.
Out in front. Save made by Gian Vaccaro, and then he gets tangled up with Luke Anderson and the side of the cage. Rackauer started. He made 11 saves on 14 shots. Gian Vaccaro coming in here to start the second half. Bouncer didn't have the angle. It'll stay with Maryland.
11 saves, holding a talented Maryland offense to 3 goals. It's a tremendous half by Rackauer, but Madelon sticks with the game plan.
Yeah, that was the plan coming into the season. You don't have a goalie with experience. Not a lot Gian Vaccaro could have done about that one. Once again, Daniel Maltz, that time from Urksa. 4th goal of the day for the senior attackman, and it's 7-2.
Well, he fooled him once, and he fools him twice. Just cutting behind the head of the defenders. Defenders not eyeing the crease. Pedersen up, unable to catch up to Maltz, and it's another easy goal for Maltz, similar to the man up from not too long ago, and Maryland goes up by 5, which feels like 10.
Talk about a lacrosse family. Daniel Maltz, as Princeton wins the faceoff. Sandoval shoots and scores with a tumble.
Let's take a look all the way home for 35. Sandoval down the middle of the field. Maybe he was surprised he still had the ball, and he just flies over the crease. Last week against Monmouth, he did a flip over the crease. This time he cleared it without doing the somersault. And 35 gets one home, but they're going to check his stick. Make sure everything is legal there. This would be devastating.
As it stands now, 7-3 on Tyler Sandoval's first goal of the season.
Taking out the whole toolbox at midfield. And there it is. The flag flies.
Well, you were wondering, how did Tyler Sandoval hang on to that ball?
Three-minute non-releasable penalty, and you saw what Maryland did with the 2-minute non-releasable to start this off when Marquez White got called for a high hit. That is a tough one to swallow if you're a Princeton Tiger fan, but kudos to Maryland. In the scouting report, maybe they said, hey, if 35 scores, check the stick immediately.
So that's going to be 6.5 minutes of penalties against the Tigers. Maryland hasn't been flagged yet today, and the Terps have taken advantage. They've got a couple of man-up tallies already.
I mean, that, in terms of the momentum was with the Terps, but their fans and the team went crazy when that flag flew.
What would have still been a 4-goal game, but you kind of felt the momentum coming back towards the Princeton sideline and the Princeton crowd.
I mean, a 5-goal lead and now a 3-minute non-releasable. You're negating the biggest play, the biggest momentum shift of the day for Princeton with that high-flying effort from Sandoval. And now Maryland, not only with an opportunity to put 1 goal on the board, but a couple the way their man up has the ability to play.
6-on-5 for the Terps. Kelly steps into this one, sticked aside by Gianfrancaro, and they're going to say Maryland was closest.
I thought Lazaretto was going to win that.
It was close. Maryland quick on the restart, right back through Kelly. Back beyond the crease, long over to the near side. Top of the box, Spano steps into it and whips it wide. Lazaretto got there this time.
Great job by Luca Lazaretto of winning that race. He might have won 2 of them. Maryland got the benefit of the doubt on the first one, but this is a big opportunity. Obviously still only an 80-second shot clock, and just like that, Pedersen turns it over.
Taken away by the Terps. Intercepted by Malt, shot taken by Kelly. This Maryland ride has been so tough.
And here, Princeton, down 5, and you need to you want to score, but you also don't want to give the Terps the ball back with 2 minutes left on a non-releasable penalty. So, similar to early in the first half, they're kind of not playing their traditional offense. You got to play keep away and run clock when it's the exact opposite of what you want to do if you're playing even strength. You want to score as quickly as possible down 5.
Alex Slusher scored in 21 straight games. He hasn't scored yet today. He's taken 4 shots. Slusher hasn't scored. Vardara, who came into the day 9 for his first 10 shooting in his senior season, he hasn't scored. Princeton offense just not able to do what they do really well. Interesting to see how the Tigers play this, because you've got that 3-minute penalty. You're also down 5 goals with about 19 minutes to go.
Exactly.
They're going to start the offense with about 25 seconds left on the shot clock. Here's English across the back of the defense.
And Maryland's fine if you want to kill clock. They're up 5.
Trader stayed disciplined. Here's Ronda. Can't get the hands free. Finally lets it fly. Stick side high. Save. Quick outlet pass. Here comes Geppert, the pole in transition. Geppert passes it off. Another flag comes in near side against the Tigers. Owen Murphy quarterbacking the offense from the midfield. Waits for Long and company to come on. Flag is down. Another free possession. And still a man up. 30 seconds left on that Sandoval penalty for the illegal stick on the faceoff win that led to a goal that was wiped out. Got him hung up with the extra man. Here's Long from X. Against Finley, trying to get inside. Doesn't have the angle. Another flag comes in. Nearly rolled in. Swept out of bounds by Long, but 2 flags down on the field.
11 still left on the 3-minute non-releasable on Sandoval, and 2 more are going to sit. We'll get the calls here from the officials and see who's sitting and why.
White 15, offsides, 30 seconds.
White 15.
There were 2 flags thrown.
One came in.
Points.
Yeah, one came in early. One came in right before that one went out of bounds.
And it looked like the one that was enforced was the one thrown early, which was towards midfield, which would have been the offside. So they pick up the other flag. But regardless, Maryland will be 2 men up for 11 seconds and then a man up for 20.
Long at X. Unmarked, comes up, sets up a teammate, shot and a goal. Jack Corris. You could see that one coming with a second left on the 6-on-4. Terps have stretched out the lead.
See the ability the man-up unit for the Terps has to score and score quickly. It was Maltz a little bit ago, and it's just one pass and a beautiful left-handed shot from the Maryland product representing his home state.
Give John Geppert the pole, the assist. 8-2, Terps on top. They haven't updated the scoreboard here at Sherrod Field yet. And still 21 seconds So the Sandoval one was unreleasable. So, yes, Sandoval will have a second left, and then the English penalty should come off the board, no?
I'd be having some trouble with the scoreboard here because the 8th goal is not on the board either.
Yep, so 1 second left on that 3-minute non-releasable to Sandoval for the illegal stick, and then the offsides call against English. That's wiped out by the goal. Again, it is 8-2, and now they finally tack it up with just over 3 minutes to go in the third. Princeton, keep in mind, they were down 3-0 against Manhattan. They were down 5-4 at the break. They outscored the Jaspers 8-2 in the third quarter. As good as Manhattan is, they were one of the best defensive teams in the country when they went to the NCAA tournament. Manhattan not quite Maryland with what they bring back defensively.
I was incredibly impressed with Manhattan's defense, goaltending, how they played that game.
Yeah, John Persico, one of the stories of the year in college lacrosse. That was a team that was picked basically neck and neck atop the MAC with Marist, and that's going to be a fun conference to watch. It looks a little bit different this year. 8-2 Terps, they have possession. Back to 6-on-6 as that penalty to Sandoval expires. Shots now plus 12 for the Terps. They haven't committed a penalty. 2 fewer turnovers. Really well-played game by the Terps, and now they've got them hung up again. Cahal Roberts right off the hip of the netminder, Gianfrancaro. Trying to body up long, sends him below goal line extended, over to the near side. Chorus turns, shoots, and scores. I don't think Gianfrancaro ever saw that. It's 9-2 Maryland.
Maryland goal scorer number 22, Jack Chorus.
Great job by Chorus of using the defender as a screen, and you're right. I don't think Gianfrancaro saw it. And I think it beat him 5-hole right through the wickets. A nice job by the lefty. 2 quick ones. And Maryland with a monumental lead at this point. 7 goals, which, you know, if it was 20-13, it'd be a different pace. But with Princeton with only 2 on the board, that 7 goals just seems huge.
Another flag comes in. Stevens will scoop it up. Jim Mitchell, the offensive coordinator, sprinting over towards the box. Matt Madelon looking for an explanation.
In the first half, it was the 2-minute non-releasable that, you know, prevented Princeton from getting in a rhythm. And in this second half, a couple quick goals and now all these flags. And it is just impossible against a team like the Terps to overcome a deficit like this when you're just continuously shorthanded.
This will be the 6th infraction against the Tigers, not against the Terps. Let's take a look. It was on Stevens, 14.
That's a great play.
That's tough.
You know, regardless, he's sitting, so the reality is what it is. It's a 1-minute penalty, but you look at that and you'd applaud that. Beautiful job by Stevens of avoiding the player and getting the stick.
Tigers need to stand by their defense as Murphy loses the handle. Finley trying to close in. Ball down on the turf. Murphy against Finley. Billings comes over. Murphy back towards the midfield, and it's scooped up by Daniel Maltz, who's got 4 goals today. Jack Chorus, the junior in the midfield, has the last 2 tallies for the Terps. 30 more seconds on the man up. Top of the box through Kelly, their leading goal scorer on the season. Now Murphy, the Hopkins transfer. Kelly through traffic and ricocheted into the cross of Gianfrancaro. Tigers catch a break. Princeton with just under a minute to go, trying to start the clear with Pedersen. Back to Gianfrancaro. This ride has been so tough for the Terps, but now the Tigers have something.
Mackessy's open.
Here's English to Mackessy, left unmarked, and who gets a man-down goal for Princeton? Talked about it. Princeton needed the defensive stand. They caused the turnover. Good job against the tough ride on the clear, and they find the open man.
Mackessy with 2 of Princeton's 3 goals. The first one was a right-handed bounce shot. This one a little more of his bread and butter. The lefty sidearm bouncer from 91, who's been a tremendous goal scorer over the last year. When he hit the field a couple games into the 2022 season, it allowed Princeton to be much more versatile on offense, move some folks up to midfield, and he's just been a star for the Tigers. And again, 2/3 of the goals today.
Big face-off here. Sandoval with a new stick. Quick one-hopper right into the cross of Geppert, and it'll be Maryland ball with 35 seconds to go in the third. Dante Trader, defensive midfielder. Looked like he was going to stay on, but instead he'll work it up top to Signorello. Second midfield line, Spanos, Signorello, and now Siracusa comes on. Final 15 seconds here in the third quarter. Maryland's got 3 man-up goals today. Shot and a goal. Top shelf, Ryan Siracusa. He scored in the opener against Richmond. He's got his second of the season here with 4 seconds to go in the third.
From Centennial High School to the University of Maryland with a lefty rocket to the top right corner. Beautiful placement against a right-handed goaltender. And Gianfrancaro's windshield wipers couldn't catch up to that one.
You brought up Syracusa's high school stats earlier. Centennial High School, Roswell, Georgia, 427 career points. Stepped on the field a little bit last year, 1 goal in 12 games as a junior. Now as a senior, he's got 2 through the first 3. Weirman with the face-off win, passes in. Murphy's not going to get a shot off.
Third quarter, Maryland 10, the Tigers 3.
Impressive third quarter, though, for Maryland. It was a 3-1 game at the half. They outscore the Tigers 7-2 in the third quarter. Maltz has 4. A couple of third-quarter goals, though, by Jack Corus. He's got the Terps on top by 7 as we head to the fourth quarter here on Sherrod Field. Talked about Princeton's schedule. Maryland 2-1 on the season. This is their 4th straight game against a ranked team. Richmond was ranked to open the season. Loyola all the way up to number 6 in large part due to that 12-7 victory 2 weekends ago. Comeback win, bounce-back win against Syracuse, and then look at the schedule coming up, and that's before you get into Big Ten play. They go number 3 Princeton, number 2 Notre Dame, at Albany.
Not easy.
Not easy, and then you take on Cornell, number 2.
And you see the loss against Loyola down in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. They get out of here with a win today, and they're able to beat 3-2, and they play Virginia even close in a couple weeks. And the better Loyola plays, that one won't hurt them too much come selection time.
Next Saturday, obviously you want to be here in Princeton for the Tigers and the Georgetown Hoyas as Gianfrancaro makes the save on Owen Murphy, and then flag comes in. Be the first flag of the day against the Terps. Cahal Roberts took some contact to the back.
So we'll take a look. Trader was coming with a full head of steam, and Roberts kind of turned to him. And by that time, Trader could not pull up. So he will sit for 30, and the Tigers will go man up 6-on-5 and see if they can't chip away at this lead.
Tigers.
It'll be Stevens up top getting things started. Mackesy on the field as well.
Mackesy's got 2 of the Tigers' 3 goals today, and Mackesy's got 2 of the Tigers' 3 man-up goals this season. First extra man opportunity. Working it through Mackesy. Now Vardaro, top of the box to Saris. Zapatello closes off on him. Back to Mackesy. Vardaro to Saris. Top side, Vardaro. Great ball movement for the Tigers. Penalty expires. Man out of the box. Mackesy lets it fly. It'll stay with Princeton. Saris, right place at the right time. Couple of breaks on that possession for the Tigers.
And Jake Stevens trying to get free on the crease, but Makar just doing such a good job of not letting him find any space.
Saris to Stevens has the short stick matchup. Defended by Eric Kohler. Top of the box, Sam English, step on his man, long bouncer. Weston Carpenter there as it goes out of bounds.
I like the bounce shot. Rupel's biting on the bounce shots. He's moving down low. He's gotten beat on a couple of them today, so if you're going to let it fly, use the turf to your advantage.
Shot by Stevens goes wide. It'll stay with Princeton. We talked about Georgetown. Georgetown comes to Princeton next week. Notre Dame will head down to College Park, likely as the number 2 team in the country with a 3-0 record next Saturday. Maryland's won 20 in a row on their home field. Georgetown falling to Notre Dame today, 15-8. The Hoyas now 0-3 on the season. They were the number 2 seed last year. Skip pass through traffic. It was knifed out of bounds by Maryland, so it'll stay with Princeton with 24 to shoot.
Zappatello just got a piece of that. As you said, 24 on the shot clock, but the job the Maryland defense is doing of covering Princeton's best 6, and that's attack all the way down to that midfield. The midfielders, some of the best shooters at their position in the country, especially this guy, 19, and that one
right on cue. Weston Carpenter cutting across the defense. Got lost in Makar's blind spot and goes top shelf to get one back for the Tigers. Weston Carpenter, a guy who just couldn't seem to get on the field behind all that depth, has his 3rd of the season through 3 games.
And he does a nice job of shooting in stride. He catches it, one cradle to make sure he has possession, and rifles it lefty high to high past Rupel to cut this lead to 6. But if Princeton is going to make any headway further, they've got to get by 52 at the faceoff X. We'll see if McMeekin out there can get the job done.
McMeekin, when you think about the big freshman, you think about physicality. He's 6'1", 210, won 5 out of 9 against Monmouth. Didn't play Tuesday against Manhattan, but he wins the face-off here, scooped up by Pedersen.
Look at Princeton's shots, 30 shots, but how many of them have been quality? How many of them have truly tested the goaltender? Rupel has played very well, but the defense has played so well, forcing shots way up high by lifting the bottom hand. It's just been a tough day for the Princeton offense to really get going.
3rd midfield out there, Carpenter, who had the most recent goal for the Tigers, leading that group, the senior. Alex Slusher's been quiet today, trying to shake one of the defenders. Shot by McAsee, the goal and the hat trick for number 91. Here come the Tigers, back-to-back goals for Princeton.
Take a look. Beautiful job of changing levels, low to high. So he scores 3 different ways today. Right-handed bounce shot, left-handed, really what he's known for, and then that low to high beauty. Coulter McAsee, 10th goal of the season, and they'll go back to McMeekin, who just beat Weirman on that last faceoff. Can he do it again and get Princeton a much-needed possession? All of a sudden, this gets interesting.
McMeekin out of Episcopal Academy, played for former Princeton head coach Chris Bates down outside Philadelphia, but possession awarded to Weirman. Coulter McAsee, he's got the hat trick. You look at what he did last year, 43 goals. And remember, he was a second-line midfielder the first couple of games of the season. 43 goals, that's 43 points, rather. 4th most in a season by a Princeton freshman. You look at the other 3 names on that list, Michael Sowers, Kevin Lowe, Ryan Boyle, Coulter McAsee.
Not bad company on that list. But right now, defense is the name of the game for the Princeton Tigers. Can they escape here without the Terps notching another goal as the face-off men? Love watching that tic-tac-toe battle when they decide to sub off.
Maryland turns it in with Owen Murphy. Now long in the midfield, creeping up on the 11-minute mark. Back-to-back goals for the Tigers. They need a stop here. Bouncer. Net pops off the goal line. And Maryland stepped in the crease. Princeton, really for the first time today, with some momentum.
Yep, the crowd's alive on the Princeton sideline. The Princeton sideline is alive. Gianfrancaro will look to clear. This is about as easy as a one if Princeton's had all day, as Vardaro easily takes it past midfield, and English comes on. Can Princeton find a spark? They have, actually. It's 91, McAsee. Now, can he get free from Makar? That's easier said than done.
5 goals by the Tigers, 3 by McAsee, 1 by English's first of the season, 1 by Carpenter. Slusher trying for his first. Ronda's there for the backup.
You've got to shoot to score. Seems simple, but especially down 5, 4th quarter, finally getting some momentum. Keep shooting the ball. See if you can get Rupel off his game.
Rhonda on the restart, finds Mackesy, draws the crossbar. Sky high up in the air, and it'll stay with the Tigers.
Souvenir.
Watch out if you're the Princeton rowing team. Couple balls heading towards Lake Carnegie today. Slusher trying to work around the screen from Rondo with the shot clock under 45. Rhonda turns the corner, whistles it wide. Slusher got tripped up by Blaze, but another Tiger is over there in the corner. That is Vardara.
So Slusher and Blaze had a couple things to say to each other after that one.
Here's Vardaro against McDonald. Over the back of the defense, intercepted by the All-American Makar. Third cause turnover today to go along with 5 ground balls for number 1, and Maryland will tap the break and reset.
And that, it makes it look routine, but that's such a tough play. Playing defense against a talented offense like Princeton, you're tracking the ball in the air, you pick it off in a big spot, and that's what great players do.
Second midfield line, Spanos, Signorello, Siracusa out there. Now Maryland can run some clock. Topside, Ryan Siracusa had his second goal of the season, third of his career a few minutes ago. Gets tangled up with Bo Pedersen. Tigers can't afford to go man down anymore today. Maryland, 3 extra man goals in this contest. On the run, save made, Gian Fricaro. It'll stay with the Terps. Maryland okay with that. You get the carom and you get the fresh shot clock.
It resets to 60. About 9 minutes to go in this one.
Talked about Mackesy with the hat trick for the Tigers. Daniel Maltz, 4 goals to lead the Terps. Chorus had a couple of big ones. Pedersen swats that away, rolling towards the end line. It'll be Princeton possession. Pace Billings there.
And again, no time to waste for the Princeton Tigers. It's been tough to score 1 goal, never mind 5. First things first, got to clear the ball.
Jake Stevens, one of the most versatile two-way midfielders in the country. Talk about what he did last year. Second-team All-Ivy, third-team All-American. He had 22 goals. He was the second Tiger since 1996 with at least 20 goals and at least 50 ground balls. The other player to do that, Zach Currier. Mackesy gets underneath the defense, gets the stick lifted by Gepper. Great defensive job on the slide by number 20.
Pretty good job. We've only mentioned Sowers once, Currier twice.
I'm proud of us. Out towards Mackesy in the midfield, scooped up by the Terps. Here they come the other way. Colin Burlace. It's a 4-on-3 the other way. The setup, the shot, the bouncer. Wide out of the stick of Daniel Maltz.
I'm going to say Gian Fricaro won that race. Princeton will certainly take it.
Braden Oaks had tried to win the foot race, number 10 for the Terps.
Let's see if Billings can get this across. He'll go to Stevens with the short stick.
Midway point of the fourth quarter, 5-goal game.
And let's just keep an eye if Princeton can use some creativity to get Mackesy free from Makar. Again, much easier said than done. One of the best defenders in the country over the last few years.
On the move, taken right out of the stick of Sam English by the freshman Rupel. That might be the most impressive play he's made all day.
I was going to say, he's made some impressive saves today, but that one he just snatched from Sam English. And look at the confidence with the ball by the freshman. If you just popped on this tape with no roster or anything, you would not guess that that's a freshman in his first start in a top 10 matchup away from him.
Not only his first start, his first career game. That was save number 13. Rupel, the 6-foot freshman from Catonsville, Maryland, 70% last year as a high school senior. Was the number 3 ranked goalie in this recruiting class.
So Instead of going with Dolan, again, the graduate transfer from Binghamton that got him through the Syracuse game, they are now looking at their goalie of the future, if you ask me.
Got to be someone on Lacrosse Twitter that is listening and can look this up for us. Defending national champion. When was the last time they had 3 different starting goalies through 4 games the following season? Jack Horace has 2 goals today. Trying to roll around the screen from long at the top of the box. Left side, Maltz through traffic. Set up Kelly. Couldn't get the hands free. But Erks is there to back it up with 3 on the shot clock and will likely just dump it off.
Princeton will need 5 goals in 5:42. Along with a heck of a defensive performance to have a shot at this one.
Tigers with Tommy Barnes across midfield. 3rd midfield line out there. Barnes, Quinn Kramer, Wes Carpenter joining the mix.
It's time to put the foot on the gas pedal now.
I was going to use the starting to get late cliche, but you found a better one. Here's Slusher trying to get past his old preschool classmate Zappatello. Comes back up above goal line, extended the opposite side. Now Mackesy. Doesn't need a lot of room to operate, trying to get it to Carpenter and throws it away. Turnovers plagued the Tigers in the first half. They've been pretty clean in the second half, but that's still their 15th of the contest.
And this has just been championship caliber defense from a championship caliber team in the Maryland Terrapins. And actually, the Princeton Tigers have played decent defense as well, but they've put themselves in just terrible situations with the penalties, especially the non-releasable lengthy ones, where Maryland's been able to create the separation they find themselves with now.
Cleared up into Eric Spanos, working on Luke Anderson, number 18, who's back after missing all of last season with an injury. And Madelon, Jeremy Hurst, the former Tigers captain, now the defensive coordinator. They like what they have in the defensive midfields. Here's Siracusa trying to run some clock as they swing it out in the midfields.
Great assistant coaches on the Maryland side, 2 of the Bernhardt brothers.
Jesse Bernhardt, of course, spent a season on Matt Madelon's staff here at Princeton before going back to his alma mater. And then him and Jim Mitchell on the coaching staff under Brian Brecht at Rutgers. Small world, you only have 72 Division I lacrosse teams. Tuesday night against Manhattan, we had that interesting connection. John O'Dearna, the first-year head coach for Manhattan, the man he took over for at Stevens, Division III up in Hoboken, New Jersey, was Matt Madelon. Another shot clock violation, so the Princeton defense does its job.
Shot clock violation.
Maryland, though, probably okay with that because they ran 80 seconds down and we're at 3.5 minutes.
Absolutely. Time more valuable than goals at this point for the Maryland Terrapins, given the 5-goal lead, as they're going to make it tough for Princeton to clear.
Luke Anderson, top side, working it into the box for Braden Saris. Quickly trying to get that first midfield line in. Vardaro's out there, and now Christian Ronda.
And these are seconds off the clock as well. Princeton's got to get their best 6 on the field and go.
Sam English near side, Christian Ronda. Ronda number 12, 3 shots today. Vardaro, that was his best look, and that's save number 14 for the freshman Rupel.
And this is obviously nothing against Rupel. He has made some tremendous saves, but a lot of stick-side high saves. Princeton just not putting them in places to make it tough for the freshman in his first collegiate action today.
Zappatello trying to clear it up ahead. Rupel getting involved in the clearing game. Lofts it across midfield and gets a nice cheer from his sideline. Some clock. The Tigers, let's see if they start getting a little bit more aggressive here, down by 5 with 2:20 to go. Shot and a goal. That's Daniel Kelly, reigning Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. 2:15 to go, fourth quarter. No, that came in from the midfield. It looked like, Kelly, that was Chorus for the hat trick. Maryland up by 6 late. Maryland getting a long-range goal for the hat trick from Jack Chorus. He had 3 goals coming into the day. He's got 3 this afternoon in Princeton. 11-5. Terps on top with 2:15 to go. As expected, tremendous play at the face-off. Weirman has now won 13 out of 20. That one was against the freshman McMeekin, who the Tigers have sent out the past couple. Maryland, 2 minutes to go, 70 seconds on the shot clock. They can run this one down. Tigers have Cooper Kistler, the freshman, number 88, out there with the pole. He was on the near side face-off wing.
And Princeton's got to just keep doubling.
Terps traveled well.
They did. Still sending messages to the Tigers from somewhere in the bleachers.
Jack Chorus with Bo Pedersen on his heels, trying to run it out. Shot clock down to 40. See when Maryland starts the offense. Huge game coming up in College Park next week. Number 2 Notre Dame. They are 3-0 after a 7-goal victory against Georgetown today. Maryland, as we told you earlier, 20 straight victories on their home field. So that's going to be one of the games of the day in college lacrosse. Meanwhile, Princeton back home to take on their 3rd of 7 straight NCAA tournament teams from a year ago. Shot clock ticking down. Terps will leave it off in the corner with 1 second left.
And it's been a week for Princeton. 3 games in a week, 2-1. Obviously disappointing performance here today with a game that circled early, but they've got to review the film and use this as fuel moving forward on what to work on and how to execute, as they still have some treacherous out-of-conference opponents and then a very, very tough Ivy League schedule ahead of them.
Sayers let it fly. Slusher there on the backup. Restart with 30 seconds to go. Slusher defended by Burlace. Over to Mackesy. He's had a huge day for the Tigers, trying to connect to Saris. Knifed down by Zapatello. Ground ball for Burlace, and that should do it. 10 seconds left. They will send it behind the goal to Makar, the 5th-year senior. Terps beat the Tigers in the national semifinal last year. They come to Sherrod Field, and behind a dominant defensive effort and a freshman netminder in his first career start, down the 3rd-ranked Princeton Tigers 11-5.
An incredible performance by the Maryland Terrapins, coming up to Princeton, New Jersey on a chilly Saturday and handling business 11-5, and really never a doubt.